Water.
And g'day viewers, I'm Michael.
And I'm Janet. And welcome to this week's episode about Fearless Forward, where we reveal the incredible power of embracing fear as your fifth gear.
So are you ready to turbocharge your journey to success? Well then join us on an exhilarating ride through inspiring stories, insights and actionable strategies to harness your fears to propel you forward.
And if you're ready to rev up your life and move forward with unstoppable confidence, then listen up. Water.
And g'day listeners, I'm Michael.
And I'm Janet, and welcome to this week's episode about Fearless Forward, where we reveal the incredible power of embracing fear as your fifth gear.
Fear. Let's begin with two acronyms. First one, forget everything and run. This is the ancient flight or fight stress response. You know it. Our muscles tense, heart rate increases, beads of sweat appear, greater strength and speed ensues. It serves to protect us when we're under threat. Threats like crossing the street with oncoming traffic, or a growling dog, or a snake across the path, a white-tailed spider in the bed sheets, ooh, yuck. Hurried footsteps behind you in the dark alley, you get it. Our fight-flight is hardwired into us to keep us safe, and for that, we're grateful.
Sometimes it's a little too hardwired, and we need to diffuse or dial it down a bit. July 26th, 2021.
Remember that date very well.
Etched into my mind. Just at the beginning of Melbourne's longest COVID lockdown, I was on my way home from work and stopped at our local supermarket, the IGA, thinking it would be a little bit less crowded. That sort of thing. I pulled up near the double doors, put my handbag down, put on my face mask, sanitised my hands, the whole COVID garba, grabbed my shopping bag, got out of the car and walked towards the entrance. My peripheral vision spotted my little yellow car starting to roll down the sloped car park, and I took off after it. Grabbing the passenger door handle, I was then dragged along and trapped under the car. Note to self, don't take on a moving vehicle.
Yeah, please don't do that again.
I was screaming blue murder as the car had rolled over my humerus bone, snapped it in half, and then rolled onto my wrist and hand, pinning me under the car. Two men in the car park came across and attempted to lift the car to no avail. They just couldn't lift it. And finally, a third man joined in the rescue effort and they managed to lift the car up. And somehow, fight or flight response saved me here because I managed to wield my broken in half left arm from under the tyre and landed on my back looking up at into the stunned faces of my rescuers. They were looking a little pale, let me tell you.
Oh.
Luckily for me, the third man happened to be an emergency department doctor. Although the pain was excruciating, I didn't lose consciousness and I was able to give Mitch's phone number after they'd called the ambulance, etc. And by the time Mitch arrived, the place looked like a crime scene. There were police, fire department, ambulance, all the emergency services were there.
It was hell. I remember he rang me and just said, look, are you Michael, Janet's husband? I said, yes. And he said, what was his name again? It was
Gavin.
Gavin, that's right. He said, and he just said, look, she's had a little fall and she's broken her arm. And I'm going, oh dear, what's she done? She's had a little fall. And you're right, it was like a damn crime scene when I got there. I just went white when I go, and then I saw Janet sitting in the gurney sucking on the pain-killing stick. It was horrendous.
I'll never forget one of the ambulance officers saying, you are one lucky woman to escape from this accident with just a badly broken arm. So many don't get out alive. A lot of people will say to you, why did you chase your car? I'd never do that. But in most cases, yes, they would. It's an automatic response. The fight and flight in this case endangered me. Would I do it differently next time? Well, I vote for never a next time. Make that first and last time that will happen. At least it's provided grist for the writing mill. When I'm writing about pain now, I really know how to write it. I know when Stephen King, in Stephen King's book on writing, the same sort of deal happened when he was involved in a terrible accident and he'd written about pain in previous books, but when he writes about pain now, he writes about it from knowing it. So that was maybe my lesson. I don't know. What other lessons can I share from this story? So many of the hospital staff were checking in to see if I was suffering from post-traumatic stress, and I actually wasn't. Luckily, I think that is because of a few things. One is that I practice meditation, so I think that's really important in sort of diffusing even though my fight flight sort of took me off after the car, I was able to recover quite well from a pretty traumatic event because I do look after my parasympathetic nervous system. I think they talk about it with meditation. If you can do it, get into the practice of meditating. It won't save you from the car, but it might save you from a really bad stress reaction post-trauma.
And I probably had more post-traumatic stress syndrome after seeing you. I was in a complete shock that night, and because of COVID, I couldn't go into the hospital. Weren't allowed in, and no one called me. The only notification that I got about how you were going was from you texting me at some stage, going, "I'm still in the emergency department." But I'm okay. And my girls were great. They rallied around me because they could just see how shook I completely was by this whole thing. All I could keep thinking, was, but what if the worst had happened?
The what ifs. That happens with fear, doesn't it? The what ifs get you. So again, identify your fears. Write down your what ifs. If your fears are really paralysing, go and get some help from a trained professional. Mick?
Yeah, and let's talk about the empowering acronym for fear, which is face everything and rise. Okay, maybe not everything. Life is life after all. And living is taking chances. But most things we can face and we can rise. So, fear is that visceral emotion, as we said before, that tightens our chest and sends the shivers down our spine and often acts as a powerful force holding us back from our true potential. However, this acronym for fear encourages us to confront and overcome those daunting emotions, urging us to face everything and rise. So facing our fears can be a transformative journey, and it's an essential part of the human experience. In life, taking chances is synonymous with living fully, and fear should not be the obstacle that impedes our progress. As the saying goes, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it.
Think about J.K. Rowling, the celebrated author of the Harry Potter series. Before achieving worldwide acclaim, she faced rejection from numerous publishers. The fear of failure could have easily discouraged her, but she chose to face the challenge head on. Her resilience and determination eventually led to the creation of one of the most beloved literary franchises in history. Similarly, Nelson Mandela's life is a testament to facing everything and rising above adversity. Mandela spent 27 years in prison, enduring hardships that would cripple most spirits. However, his commitment to justice and equality fueled his determination to rise above the fear and make a lasting impact on the world. In his words, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great story. And what about Thomas Edison's journey to invent the light bulb, which was fraught with failures and setbacks? And despite facing the ridicule of numerous unsuccessful attempts, Edison just kept persevering. And his famous quote was that, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." And that reflects his resilience in the face of fear of failure. And eventually, Edison's determination led to one of the most transformative inventions in the world's history. And we use them every day. And in our daily lives, fear often manifests in various forms. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. However, if we adopt the mindset of facing everything and rising, we can really unlock our true potential. So this doesn't mean recklessly charging into every situation without consideration, like chasing your car down the road and trying to stop it.
No, we'll try not to do that one again.
Instead, it calls for a thoughtful and courageous approach to challenges. As entrepreneur Richard Branson aptly puts it, you don't learn to walk from following the rules. You learn by doing it and falling over. And this quote encapsulates the essence of facing fears. It's about embracing the uncertainty of life and using it as a stepping stone towards personal growth.
Fear is an inevitable part of life, but it need not be a roadblock. By adopting the philosophy of face everything and rise, we can transform fear into a catalyst for personal and professional success. In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. Learn to embrace fear, confront challenges, and let the journey of facing everything and rising redefine the richness of your life.
So fear is often viewed as a hindrance, an emotion that slows us down or holds us back. However, when we consider fear as the fifth gear in the engine of life, propelling us forward with heightened awareness and purpose, we can harness fear rather than being paralysed by it. And if we can do that, we unlock a powerful force that can drive us to new heights. Think about Formula One racing legend, the late Ayrton Senna, who once said, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. And his quote encapsulates the idea of using fear as the fifth gear in the literal sense. In the high-stakes world of Formula One racing, fear of crashes and failure is ever present. Senna, however, didn't let fear paralyse him. Instead, he channeled it into precision and focus, pushing the limits of what was possible on the track.
And then there's aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart, who faced numerous fears as she charted new courses in the sky. Her quote, decide whether or not the goal is worth the risks involved. If it is, stop worrying. Reflects a mindset of using fear as a catalyst for courage. Earhart acknowledged the risks of her endeavours but chose to press on, turning fear into that fuel that powered her groundbreaking flights. Fear is not an impediment, but a dynamic force. Whether on the racetrack, in the sky, on the political stage, or any stage for that matter, in business ventures or in personal development, using fears as the fifth gear involves acknowledging its presence and leveraging it to drive forward. It's about embracing discomfort, taking calculated risks, and finding the courage to navigate uncharted territories. In the grand symphony of life, fear can be the rhythm that propels us forward, adding depth and intensity to our journey. Until next time, love and blessings.
See ya.